Welcome to Black Light Mass Incarceration Show. I am your host, Sierra Cobb. Black Light Mass Incarceration Show is a space that is used to uplift the unheard voices of the criminal and social justice issues that many face today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. Sponsored by Emancipate NC. Hey, Antwan, thank you for coming on the Black Light Mass Incarceration Show to share your experience and your journey through this unjust carceral system and justice system that we have. So welcome to the show. And without further ado, I'll let you tell us about yourself and your story.
5 tomorrow. I went to prison at 18 for murder. I did 15 years and 9 months. I went to trial 3 times. I was supposed to go to trial the 4th time. I overturned my case just last year, 2022. And on 2023, when I was supposed to go to trial, the prosecutor basically wanted to give me time served because we had certain evidence that they didn't want the public to know about. And, the case just fell apart. And me, wanting to just go home and just being through so much and losing so many family members since I've been incarcerated and haven't been able to pay my respects and go to the funeral. I decided just to, plead guilty because I wanted to go home. It didn't even really matter if I was innocent or guilty, in the eyes of the system. It was just like I had to go home and I didn't want to go before trial, even when my lawyer was begging me to. It felt like she could have won. I just didn't want to have that risk or run the risk because I seen how they did me. Basically, they concocted a story and manipulated evidence to make me look a certain way to jurors, and I wasn't going in front of jurors and my peers. And, a lot of things that was being put in the public was just a false narrative of, what actually happened. So I just didn't want to go through that again or have the potential that risk to happen again and, lose my life again. Because if that happened and I had to fight for my innocence again in the appeal process, a long process, all this, I don't know if I could have stomached that. So I did what I did, conceded so I could go home.
So let's speak on that. Let's speak on how the state puts out the false narrative to the community and how that kind of controls the mass instead of hearing both sides of the story. We only get one when it comes to somebody being accused of the crime. You never hear their side of the story until after, which is why we made Black Light, for people to be able to tell their side, because sometimes it still isn't told. But let's talk about the false narrative. Like, how did it destroy your character? Did it make the community members feel unsafe? Like, what do you think happened when they put out the false narrative?
Definitely, it made me look like to be somebody that I'm actually not. Like, it's like an animal, somebody that doesn't have a regard for humanity, life, and just like an animal. Like, somebody that's dangerous that needs to be off the streets and be put in the cage for the rest of his life and shouldn't see the daylight. So when you look at the case and you look at the facts of the case, it doesn't make sense. Like, a person is claiming that, me and my co-defendant went on a joyride and that they was in a car with us and that, we was out to get some type of revenge killing, a gang feud. And the people that was actually there when the crime took place, none of them, put me on the scene or says I had anything to do with it. Or I don't get the description. So you have to have one person that actually didn't see the shooting saying that this is what happened, that there was a conversation between me and my co-defendant that took place and that we was out to get revenge. And then when you compare it with the people that was actually on the scene when the crime actually happened, it doesn't make sense. So you have people that's not biased, and you have somebody that's biased saying something, and then when you put it together, it doesn't make no sense. And yet it all comes out like in my second trial, like, the only witness that they have end up, under redirect, under the prosecutor's, examination saying that, I made it up. Y'all made me say it. Y'all pressured me to say the story and that these guys did it. And it comes out and the jurors still didn't find me not guilty. I'm thinking I'm gonna get fired. So it was a hung jury again. Like, some people still thought I was guilty after the witness and went through with the whole story on trial, on the second trial, saying that we did it and we had a story. Then while my lawyer got up there, the witness was on the stand for like 3 hours. 3 days, not 3 hours, 3 days, because this is the only witness, right? That ties the key to the case, and just got tied. Like, I made it up. I wasn't there. So my lawyer was satisfied with the witness said and shown it to the jury. And so the prosecutor tried to get back up there to rehabilitate the witness to show that the witness is believable and credible. It did end up cracking. Like, the pressure got to him. Like, I made it up. Y'all made me say this. Y'all been pressuring me. Then they locked the witness up and charged. Like, listen, if you ain't gonna come back here and tell the story I want you to tell it, Yeah, is going to gym. So they locked him up. And then my lawyer's like, y'all got to get him a witness. Y'all can't just do that. That's intimidation. It's coercion. Y'all trying to, that's illegal. Right. And so they got him a lawyer, and the lawyer's like, they had the witness plead the fifth, like, we're not going to further incriminate you. So they end up charging him. So remember, the prosecutor is the officer of the court that can only charge somebody. So they end up charging him with perjury, and being that perjury is the only crime that holds to whatever you commit defense on. So if you commit perjury on shoplifting, you get the max or whatever that is. So if you commit it on murder, you could get life in prison. So the person gets charged with perjury with facing life in prison, ends up pleading guilty to it before going to trial. Before we go to trial, pleads guilty, whatever. Like, yeah, we coming to plead guilty. And so my third trial goes to trial, and they postpone sentencing until the outcome of that trial for that witness. Like, all right, so we're gonna let you plead guilty. We're gonna take your plea, right? We're going to postpone your sentencing until the outcome of this trial. So what does that say? It's saying basically you're a puppet. If you don't perform how we want you to perform, and these guys walk, we're going to give you the.
That leads up to my next question. What do you think should happen when prosecutors pull illegal moves like that? Because we know they're not ever held accountable, but let it be a defense attorney's witness do something like that, then they're going to try to hold them
Yeah,
accountable.
yeah. So they got to take away qualified immunity. Once you take away qualified immunity, now everybody is held accountable. So there has to be a standard of accountability. So when you don't have a standard of accountability, it creates anarchy, lawlessness. So these people that do things that really ruin people's lives, and then it come out 30 years later, we had evidence to prove that this guy never did this crime, and yet you took 30 years of this person's life that they can never get back, and yet you want to let him go and then try to give him money thinking that, like, solves it. It doesn't. So, y'all are professionals, so you got to carry it with integrity. In order to have integrity in the court system and the legal system, to make sure justice is impartial and it's not being one-sided and being towards, people that's highly favored, with connections and money and, those type of things, you have to take away qualified immunity for the judges and the DAs, because the judges is helping the DA. Murder is the hardest case to prove. So when you're watching a trial, the judge is supposed to be neutral, but yet the judge is making rulings that sides with the DA, 98.9, whatever, however you want to say it. Most of the time, they side with the DA. Oh, we're allowing this in, but we're not allowing the defense to do this. And then if the defense get any type of wiggle room, they be like, all right, we allow this, and so we're going to allow the prosecutor to do this. So, but if you don't want this to come in, then you can't do this. So if you do that, you're opening the door for the DA to bring this in this evidence. So basically, you're crippling the defense's ability to defend themselves, or even put up a defense to show another side of what could have happened.
Right.
This is what goes on in the courts, and then a lot of times when the lawyer, defense attorneys fight the client, they object, and they ask for certain things, and challenge the judge. They'll call a sidebar, and then they exclude the jurors. So when the legal stuff's happening, the jurors, the public is not there seeing what's going on. So the jurors should be there through the whole step of the way. They should hear what's going on. You heard?
Mhm.
They should hear.
I
Why
agree.
they got to be excused from what's going on? If this is for the public, why do they have to be excused?
Right. Right.
Because this is
And
what legal stuff. This is when the kitchen sink and all the dirty stuff being done. But yet in the public eyes, it's seeming like, we're serving in the eyes of justice and everybody's getting a fair shot. But in reality, it's not.
well, technically,
You're already
no.
guilty before you.
Yeah, you're guilty before you're found guilty. So there's no
Yeah.
such thing as innocence in
Right.
America. You are already guilty, and even if you are innocent, you
Right.
still guilty in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? So, and then
You
two, you
already
got to
know,
think
like,
about where jurors don't. A lot of jurors are just like lame people like me and you. We knew nothing about the law before we were actually involved in the law, and so they are instructed to go off of the judge's instructions. And a lot of times people are convicted because they send jurors, they'll be in there deliberating for 5, 6, 7 hours, sometimes 2 and 3 days. And then when you mention that you want to sequester them, which means you block them from everything and they're in a room by themselves, they can't be on the phone. A lot of people are found guilty because they don't want to be sequestered. So they're like, all right, well, let's just say they're guilty. You know what I mean? So it's not a win-win
got one.
situation. It's a loss-loss situation.
This is the system that we're dealing with. We're dealing with a system that ain't nothing wrong with the system. It's the people in it. Like the system, the way it's like ideally structured, it's structured the right way. It's just people put their own emotional and personal feelings, like, oh, I think this person is guilty. I don't like this person. So I'm going to do everything in my power to spin it. Cause it's like Hitler said it the best. Like, unexamined life is not, no, that's Socrates. Of course. So he said, if you repeat something over and over again, it's more likely to be, accepted as true. So if we keep throwing something at the wall, keep throwing bread, eventually something's going to stick, right? So if we keep telling this narrative, like, yeah, these people are dangerous, this and that, then, it's all about perception. You can control people's perception and what you put out there. right? And then
Yeah,
eventually start, and then, no, Hitler also said, such luck for rulers that men don't think. The majority, the masses, people thinking, group thinking, and this is why social trends happen. Everybody's wearing Prada, Gucci, and Mary, like, because it's just the masses, right?
yeah,
Nobody's doing it. Oh, and then if you come out wearing a purple wig or something that's different, then you're looked at as like, oh, like, what's up with this person? He's a weirdo, because this person could think for them, got their own sense of style and their own sense of thinking. Like, so this is what think and look at evidence and be able to sift through what's actually facts and what's bullshit, right? But most people can't. So they go with the herd, right? The masses. So
yeah. That's what
it's
America
like
does. They
life.
control the mass by propaganda and
Yeah.
by just pushing a narrative that's not true. And they know if they can push a narrative to a small mass, then it will begin to circulate around the big mass and everybody will follow. That is why we are where we are when it comes to criminal justice and the way that we look at it, the way that we label people, and they keep that label for the rest of their lives as if people, the state actors don't commit crimes. They commit crimes all the time. They just the fact that they are the state. So, they get away with it. But yeah, it's all about controlling the mass and how we
Look
think.
at look at the opioid crisis. Before, heroin been around since the 60s, whatever. It's been around in the Black and Latino community, people of color, right? But now some rich white kids farming it's getting strung out. They're ODing off it. It's being laced with fentanyl, and it hits home to where certain people that's tied to families that's actually like wealthy or have some type of affluence or some type of stature in society, whether it's politicians, kids, nephews, or some. Now, oh, we got to do something about it. Now we got to start doing front and forth because it's starting to hit white people's homes now more. A lot of white kids are strung out. Now we have, methadone mile and all of this stuff going on in the world. Now it's a thing, but before it was like that, nobody gave a
Yeah.
fuck about it.
When it was in the black
Nobody
community,
cared.
they didn't care. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they actually put it in, and it was been studies being done that with J. Edgar Hoover took the drug and he was putting it out there. The Intel program, whatever that's called, that's what was going on. Break up these
Ronald
communities.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan bringing it in. But I mean, you think about it because fentanyl is used as a sedative when you're getting surgery. So how does something that's used as a sedative getting on the streets of America? Because the government is pushing it. Believe it or not, government be pushing a lot of things that you don't think they do. They push the human trafficking, they push all the drugs so they can fund other things that we have no idea they're funding. And we got to be smarter about it. So now all of a sudden now they got all this money that they want to give to nonprofits so they can fix the opioid crisis that they caused. So it's just it's just a circus. That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, that's
Well,
that's
tell
what
us
goes
something
on.
good. Tell us what you got going on since you've been free. And yeah, let us know what you got going on and what you're doing.
So, I'm in school. I'm chasing a degree. I'm in school for communication. I just started September 6th. So I'm like a little over a month in. I was just actually reading before I logged into the podcast. I was reading psychology on motivation and what motivates human beings. So I'm studying communications. I actually got to speak next week at UMass Lowell, particularly about my story and just like what I'm doing, like the awareness and how I'm trying to just shift the narrative about perception. Like a lot of times we look at things and think we know what we know, but we don't. So we have to keep an open mind. And just because a person may appear a certain way, it may not be that. So when I go in, I show them my skill set, and they don't even know that I possess this type of ability. They being on and just kind of challenging people to keep an open mind and show people what's really going on behind the walls and within the system.
Right.
So, like Malcolm said, jail is the next best thing to a college or university if you apply yourself, right? So I went in there and I taught myself, like the power of education and, mindset. Like, you are a product of your thoughts. Whatever you think becomes the dominating force that you attract in your life. So while I was in there and everybody else was compromising, getting high and, worrying about what's going on within that prison, that little, little, I'm trying to find the right word for it. I had it, but in my
It's an
mind mentally,
environment.
but
That's what
just,
it is.
yeah, it's exile. You're on your own island. It's like it's a world excluded from the world that's actually going on. So it's its own little world because you're exiled and you're just around a bunch of people that's going through the same thing you're going through. And the guards are actually doing time, and it's affecting their mental health. There's already been studies on it, and so you got to rise above that. So it takes a lot of mental fortitude every day, right? And a strong will, an iron will, to not succumb to what's around you, the negativity, the stick, and just like so. For me, I went in there, wrote 3 books, educated myself, got my GED. That was the first time, the most furthest I could get in education because they didn't offer where I was at college classes. the facility I was at, they didn't offer it. So I'm like, damn. So I ended up reaching out to Stratford Career Institute. I did the thing in business administration, got a little diploma in that, and then I just went on like a writing campaign. I started writing people. I read this book that changed my life. It was The Millionaire Prisoner. And basically I already kind of had the idea, but he kind of just kind of articulated for me, like kind of more so clarified my thoughts in a way I was already thinking, like just reaching out to people and like, to have be successful. You could be successful anywhere, even in prison. All it takes is one idea to change your life, to live like a king for the rest of your life. So attitude, it starts with attitude first. Like, so he breaks it down, the keys to success in the alphabet. So A's attitude, B's baggage, C's capital, D's discipline or determination, education. He goes all the way to Z, and then he started giving examples of people that was in prison that changed and actually became somebody like within prison. So he started naming famous people that went to jail that's famous as actors, boxers like Bernard Hopkins. He started like, Hurricane Carly tells his story. Tells a bunch of stories, and it was just things in there. I'm like, all right, like a network. So you have to work your net to catch people. So I started writing people. So I started writing professors. I wrote over like 300 professors, and I was just telling my story. And I just, I started getting relationships with people that actually started writing me back and, helped me cultivate my ability to write because I like to write. I was a poet writing poetry. Then I published my first poetry book. And then when I came home, I still had those relationships, and they let me go to their schools and speak to their students, and they're helping me navigate as I'm out. I've only been out going on 9 months. On the 17th, 9 months, I got out January 17th, 2023. So just, never say no for nobody, right? Because if you reach
Right.
out to people, you'd be surprised to reach out to you. So I had from Harvard and Brown University, Ivy League schools reaching out, mentoring me, sending me books. Like, damn, sorry to hear your story, but we find your path to education remarkable. Like, keep up with it. It's gonna open up some type of light for you, even if you don't ever get out of jail. Like, know you have that, and they can never take that away from you being educated and being aware of what's
Right.
going on, and your voice still matters. That was empowering for me, and they just kept me going forward. And then I just taught myself magic and just the mind, how the mind works and psychology, and just started just being a student again. Because knowledge is an everlasting journey, and it's just going to keep taking you somewhere. So it
Mhm.
expands your perspective and how you look at things. It broadens it. So that's what I started to do, and I'm just on this journey now. Now I'm out here. I had a goal, like a vision for like what I want to do, where I want to see myself, and school was one of them. Like going back to school because I never went to high school, so going to
That's
school now.
amazing.
I got a presentation on Wednesday about, communication and just, I'm on it, doing what I need to do.
So what else you trying to do to, change the current landscape of the justice system that you were involved in?
Journalism. So I feel like once I get the degree in journalism and while I'm going to school, just networking, meeting people that's like, my professor, he's a journalist and he did it. Then there's a guy I just got a job on campus. He did journalism, like sports journalist, and he just like kind of telling me different avenues where I could go, like, mentor, do internships for newspapers and different like just learning the inner mechanics of how it works. So, that's why I need to really learn. I could start now, right? Like start a blog and just talk about prison and if it catches some type of traction, and then I could shift the narrative like, hey, I'm somebody with credibility that did all this time and wrongfully convicted X, Y, and Z, and then hopefully somebody will listen. But it's like, all right, I'm gonna take the academic route, and I'm still gonna go to schools and speak, and just but the ultimate goal, I got my fourth book eventually gonna come out, The Diary of a Prisoner. Already got it done. I'm just trying to create like awareness and get some type of ties within the literary community. So when I do drop it, it has that momentum behind it so that it gets to the right people. So people start, you know, seeing what's going on.
Do you
But
plan to go
ultimately
back
I want to be a journalist.
do you plan to go to the prisons and speak as well?
If they allow me, hell yeah, I go back. I want to go in with accomplishments though. Like this is what I did, regardless of what they did and how they ruined my life. I came out and this is what I got going on. Because people look at things and they look at what you have.
Mhm.
That so
Yeah.
you want to show like this, regardless. This is what I was able to accomplish after I went through all of this hell. I got all of this. I got a degree. I got this. I got relationships with these people. I've been here. I've done this. This is what people want to see the results, right? You could tell me you made $1 billion, but if you don't got the results to show it, I'm not really gonna listen.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so having the proof, man, to back it up. So just putting in that groundwork and having my credentials, just building it, my resume. So that's what I'm doing now, just building my resume.
So do you plan to when you do this journalism journey, do you plan to cover a lot of things that a lot of journalists don't cover? Because we know a lot of times
Absolutely. So
journalists
you
work
kick
for newspapers who control
oh,
basically
like
kinda
couple so
control what
yeah,
they
yeah,
say.
yeah. Yeah, of course, you got politicians or whatever paying them, like, "Yeah, this is what we want you to talk about," so, of course. Like if I gotta go like, independent, like just learn what I need to learn and just like, start doing my own thing and just build the contacts. Cause I want to tell stories that never get told, like that get swept under the rug. Like if somebody might get caught with a gun and that gun end up back on the streets. Why is that? So I want to figure out how that happens. Like talk about things that people ain't talking about. What goes on in prison, how crimes is being committed on prisoners right now by so-called, respected citizens in society that we entrust, right, to correct these people's behavior that make two wrongs or make a right. Just because a person did something to end up in prison doesn't give you the right to treat them the way you're treating them. So it's a lot of injustice that goes on in prison from the guards and the staff, the nurses, the mental health that goes on that and everybody's complicit with it and in coercion and cahoots with it. It's just like it just baffled me being in there and just seeing it like damn. And it just don't sit well with me. Because I went through it and I see it go on with my peers and just like how you come in every day, right? And your
Mhm.
justification of why you justify why you treat a person the way they are, fucking he's a piece of shit. This is what he's locked up for.
But it goes back to what you
So I
said,
don't
training. They train the math. So when they train them, their training is to look at you at like you're the worst of the worst and
of
that you will never
course, of
rehabilitate
course.
yourself. So it's about controlling the mind. It's mind control.
They got a little thing I was reading in school in my paper, and I've been knew about this because I've read a lot of psychology books. But there was a guy, I think his name was Stanley Milgram, if my memory serves me correctly, and he did this study, and it was called obedience to authority. So he gave people, regular people, right? They put them in a controlled experiment because when you do experiments, you put them in a controlled environment, so it's not influenced by anything else. And he's like, listen, this person did this, and he wasn't supposed to do this, so we want you to shock him. And so they shocked him, whatever. Like, and, if this person does this, you shock him, boom, boom, boom. And he had the guy he dressed up in a lab coat. He dressed up as like somebody authority figure, like he's a doctor, whatever it was. And these people, and you'd be surprised that people with moral conscience, regular people that were supposed to be upstanding citizens, how much they pushed that button, they would shock people under the authority of this doctor was telling them what to do and why they were supposed to be doing it. So
Mhm.
this is what goes on in prison.
Prison. Yeah.
They put on these forms. I'm a captain. Listen to me. This is how we're supposed to do things around here. So when you have people come in because they want to get a job and they want to have a way to feed their family, and they see like, all right, I want to treat these people like human beings. I just want to do my job and go home. I'm gonna do about a policy and procedures. And then they get in there and they see the machine and the captain. And we don't do it like that. Just because it says it like this for the public to see, we don't do it like this. This is how we do it. And then it's one person like, damn, this is messed up. But they know if they're going against one person going against a whole machine, they're either going to be outcasted. Nobody want to deal with ostracism. Nobody want to be outcast. Nobody wants to be the person that like, yeah, nobody talks to.
Mhm.
So the majority of people go along with the program or they quit.
Yeah.
Or they
I
quit
mean,
when
that's fact.
they quit finally. And so, they see all this injustice going on. I done had, instances where the guards are spitting in my food, man. I got jumped by COs and they spitting in my food and I'm in there without a mattress and I'm in there living crazy. Everybody supposed to have a mattress. You got mental health walking by. Look, I don't got a mattress and I don't got a pillow, man. These people are doing shit to my food. I got my lawyer complaining, writing letters, and this is going on. And mental health, you're supposed to be here so that I don't commit suicide and to make sure that the quality of my mental health is intact and being
Mhm.
upheld. Yeah, you're turning the blind eye to it. I go to the superintendent, he walked by happy, I come to my door, I'm in a hole. Like, yo, listen, girl, what's going on? I ain't got no mattress, bro. And I'm just recording everything, writing it down, the date and time I spoke to him, filing the grievances, creating the papers, because I'm just gonna sue.
Right.
Now I'm
Right.
so I'm sending it to my lawyer, and I just sued. I won a lawsuit. Like, I'm not playing with you people. Like, y'all gonna win right now, but eventually y'all gotta answer to somebody too. Everybody has to answer to somebody.
Right. Right.
Even in courts. Like when they die, they're gonna have to answer to God. Like the people
Yep.
that's looking for you're gonna have to answer to somebody.
Yeah.
You might be
But
God in this moment on this earth, but when you go to the spiritual realm, you're gonna answer to somebody.
people don't think that far ahead though. They just think about the authority that they hold right now while they're here on earth. You know what I'm saying? And so thank you for bringing that to light because that's really important. I've been working on abuse of power here in our facilities and I reached out to the media to see if they could do a story on it. And you think I heard anything? Nope. The only person been doing it and doing stories on it is me. Ain't nobody else said nothing about it. Media ain't even try to reach out and see what was going on to uplift the story. So yeah, we need more journalists who are really gonna say, "All right, yeah, let's write on this because this is something that ain't really wrote on and it needs to be investigated instead of, looking to their boss to see if it's okay to write about it." We
Mhm.
do need those people because like we said, the news runs the mass, and a lot of the news is false news, is propaganda. But we need that real news that people can trust and understand that what
Control
you're
the
saying
news
is
though.
true.
Who control the news? The people with the money control the news. This week, what you need to put out. Everybody got a boss that money talks, man. It controls people. So when you have somebody that's gonna give you the raw uncut, eventually you might get killed. Something happen, or there's gonna be some type of oh, let's find some type of dirt on this person to discredit him. So this is what goes on, right? Hey, we're gonna have to silence this person one way or another. We're gonna have
Right.
to. Oh, he's stirring up an uprising. He's causing something to where we don't have control no more. So they have a way of doing that. So me doing that is like me putting my life on the line. But it is what it is. Like I got a
Hey,
purpose to do. I'm gonna do it if
listen,
I get it.
I say you gotta stand up and fight for something, and God say, "Keep fighting the good fight. He always gonna protect you as long as you fighting that good fight." So, hey, I keep doing what
Yeah,
I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna stop me from doing what I'm sent to do, which is my purpose and my passion, and that's to speak for the ones that are voiceless. Because you always gonna have somebody that's gonna hate, that's gonna try to stop you, but as long as you got as long as you got that spirit on top of you,
yeah, definitely,
you know?
definitely. He caused Elijah to be invisible, right? When the enemies came to get him, maybe looking for Elijah. He's causing all these problems. He made him invisible. Elijah brought him to his homeland where he had all his soldiers. Listen, it didn't make me uninvisible. So now they see who I am. And then they
Right.
killed him. So,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
just being anointed, having that oil over you. Right? So
right.
it
So
is
what
what
will
it
you
is.
tell some of the younger generation? Because we see now that they are starting to grab them by the mask and incarcerate them. And what would you tell somebody that's 15, 16, 17? Because these kids are out of control. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like some of them walking around 10, 11 with guns. In my day, we talk things out. If not, we fought about it. It was no shooting. Now you get shot, you know what I'm saying, for a little or nothing. So what would you tell these kids today to keep them away from the system? Because we also got to keep ourselves away from the system. We can't put ourselves there either. You know what I'm saying?
I would say the first thing, man, everything you do has a response, a consequence to it. For every action, there's a reaction, and then what you does not only just affects you personally, it affects people around you. So if you carry a gun and you do something that hurts not only the person, it hurts their family, it hurts you, it hurts your family, your mother, and all the people you're running around with. That's supposedly your homeboys. They ain't gonna be there for you. Now, if you face in real time, like you might get one or two, and then most of them trying to get at your girl, backbiting because you might have a better name. All it is everybody just want to be respected and admired. Everybody want to feel like they're their guy. Like, but at the end of the day, like you could do it a different way. That's the easiest way to do it. When you're doing it with destruction, like you're gonna end up in a place where they just want to put you away and treat you like an animal and like a slave, where nobody really care. You ain't gonna have no power. So, right. What you seeing on TV, the rapping, the gang, all that shit, it's just entertainment. It's not real. There's no love. There's no love in this game, man. When you live in it, like there's no love in it. They don't love you. The only people that love you is your family. And if you don't got family that don't love you, God love you. Right? And you gotta
Yes.
set the heart, man. You gotta want better for yourself. But it's not better because if you really love yourself, you're not gonna put yourself in an environment to where you're gonna experience so much pain. Pain.
Right.
It's
Right.
pain in my life, man. That life is full of pain. There's no happiness in that life.
Nah,
Really, really ain't, man.
it really ain't. And you sure don't want to
Like
be in no
women,
prison.
you ain't gonna be around them. You could be around a bunch of men. You got men in there committing homosexual acts, all type of stuff, man. Misery
Yeah.
loves company. It's gonna be a lot of pain in there. And stop it before get, man, and just listen, man. Listen. You got two eyes and ears for a reason. Listen, pay attention, and ask questions, right? And not just take things for face value, but examine the things that you see and value it as you face it. Because just because something looks one way doesn't mean it's actually that way. Like a person may be admired and respected on the street as, yeah, he's a stand-up guy, he's a gangster and all of that. But once he go in jail, he still got to drop his drawers. He got to bend over and squat. He got to be told when to log in. So is he really a gangster? Right?
Right.
His phone call being cut off short, the CO cut, you got to lock the fuck in, and they cut your phone call off. Like, but you wasn't taking nothing on the street. So why you taking it from them? You don't pick and choose. If you a gangster all the way around. Right?
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
picking and choosing, right? Like, so
Yeah.
it's lies, man. It's a trick, an illusion being played. Streets ain't real.
And it's also about understanding that it's okay to agree and disagree. That don't mean you gotta take the next man out because you're not agreeing at all. So we gotta get back to learning how to solve
Communicate.
conflict without
Yeah,
killing one another. You know what I mean?
it's all about communicating, learn how to talk to people, right? And then put your ego to the side because everything's pride. Pride and ego gets people killed and get them in jail, right? And it hurts people's feelings, in the long run. So you got to learn how to put that aside and have a conversation with somebody. So a lot of times, like if you might have a disagreement with somebody and that person might not really want to fight or take it to that level, but they feel influenced because the people that's watching. So a
Right.
lot of people do things off what everybody else is seeing rather than being true to themselves. In their heart, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do this. but being that other people seeing they don't want to appear a certain way to their peers, so they force you to do something that they don't want to do. Social pressure. Don't do nothing you don't want to do, or something that you're gonna regret quietly, secretly in your heart, when nobody else is around. Be that person you are when nobody else is around. That's who you are. Be that in real life.
Right, right. That's
You
all
know,
fact. That is all fact.
then man, everybody want to be accepted. Or everybody want to be like, if a person can't love you for who you are, then they wasn't meant to be in your corner. You got to be who you are regardless. If a person can accept you with your flaws and your blemishes, then they ain't for you. And
Right.
for me, I had to learn that in prison. I had to lose my life to realize, the people that I thought was, really for me, or that I was spending my time and energy, dedicating my life to, didn't give a fuck about me. It
Did
was the
any of
people
those people show up when it was time to visit or when it was time to put money on the books?
only one person did it. But other than that, it was like my family. Then even my family turned their back on me after being there so long. They're like, "This dude's a burden, man. Like, he ain't getting out. He ain't never gonna get out, man. You're gonna die in there, right?" So everybody started, and it was just all I had was God, man. And I had to change whatever I had to get with the spirit, right? And then once I started, getting with God and having conversations with Him, He started open doors for me. Good people started to come in my life. I still got in my life to this day. The pastor lady I met, I was writing churches, I was writing, reaching out to people. I just want fellowship. I just want people in my life, man. I'm trying to do something positive. I'm trying to write books. I'm trying to tell my story. I'm trying to educate myself, and the right people just started coming in my life and they helped me to this day, so.
You
um,
gotta get on that spiritual. I'm telling you, honey. That's a lot of ways. The only way you gonna make it.
Yeah, that's how I got out of jail. How you think I got out of jail without no prison, no probation, nothing? The lawyer I had $100,000 lawyer for free. It's crazy how God works. When you have blessings with your name on it, they come chasing you down. You ain't got to chase it down. I had the best lawyer in Mass for free. Rosemary Scapicio, top lawyer in Mass. She did the Netflix series, The Trial 4 with Sean Ellis. And I had her for free. And she want money. She's about her money. But being that, being favored and having that oil, my appellate lawyer knew her. She reached out to my appellate lawyer, like, "Congratulations on the victory." Well, it's like, because I had a list of like the appellate lawyer, like the lawyers I wanted, like, and she was on it. She was like number 3. She wasn't number 1. She was like the 3rd lawyer I had on the list. But she happened to call my lawyer. And,
Right.
God uses people as instruments to get His
Mhm.
people where He need to get them to, and He
Mhm.
knew I was the right person for the battle.
Yeah, because
And
you
she
gotta have
didn't want me
that
to
right
cop
person.
she
Yeah.
didn't want me to cop out. And she told me in the beginning when she took my case, like, if any lawyer tell you they could beat the case, or that they're gonna 100% guarantee that you're gonna get out, then fire them because they're lying. Because you might have a tribal case, but anything can happen in the courtroom. I've been doing this for 40 something years, and I'm telling you, you got a tribal case, but I'm not gonna guarantee you a victory. And then as it got closer to time, they fighting the case. Her and my appellate lawyer to help me get my 4th trial. She's like, "Listen, I want you to go to trial. I can beat this case." But before she wasn't saying that. She said it's a strong possibility you have a tribal case, but there's a lot of things that go into it. As she got to dissecting the case and they got to, working and doing investigations, man, don't cop out. I know I can get. I'm like, listen, I'm ready to go home, man. I'm not playing. I had this thing called Bell's Falls. My whole right side of my face was paralyzed. Medical didn't do
Yeah.
nothing. I'm telling them, like, I feel like something's wrong. They just, oh, you're just playing games. You just want to talk to a nurse. Like, listen, I can't. My shit's drooling. My mouth's over here.
Like I'm paralyzed.
Man, they shit. I had to fall out. My mom's calling up, my lawyer's calling up, my girl calling up. Man, they wouldn't even did. The people in the jail started acting. I'm like, yo, man, I gotta send this dude out, man.
Right. It should've took all of that. You know what I mean? Never should take all of
Crazy,
that.
crazy, man. But this is the type of stuff you go through in there.
That's why you gotta
Everything
stay
you go
away.
through, yes, it's bad in there, man. The quality of living is like this, man. It's like we're in West Africa when they didn't have nothing, man. Like, y'all ain't nothing over here, man. Fuck y'all. You hear it? It's bad, man. It's bad in there. So I want to talk about those type of stories, the quality of medical care, mental health care, all that. People, I was in there before I went home. Like 3 dudes killed themselves. There was a dude in there smoking K2 all day, every day.
Dang.
He got a bad phone call. They lugged him to the hole. He killed himself, bro. Hung himself and died. And mental health don't come see you that day. You go to the hole. Like when you're in state prison, because I ended up overturning my case and going to county jail. County jail is even worse than the state prison.
Oh,
State
yeah.
prison is horrible, but county
But
jail
county
is
jails.
mental health don't go see you to the next day. So upstate, in the state prison where I was at, before you can even go to the hole, you got to get cleared through medical and mental health. We got to assess your mental health to see if you even fit to be in a cage locked in for 23 and 1. And they didn't do this with this dude. He was going to see mental health the next day. He killed himself that night.
Mm.
And they still doing it like that. And there's multiple dudes that did that and killed themselves like that. And they still doing it like that.
Because a
So
lot
it's
of
just,
people lose hope. Like, that place makes you feel hopeless. So
And then
when you
what I'm saying is the policies and protocol procedures and how they doing, they supposed to change it. Listen, you can't go to the hole unless mental health, but they don't. Nobody want to work in that jail, so they don't even have mental health. Like workers that want to work there, so they got like 3 or 4, so they do the bare minimum and they keep, and they know like, hey, I ain't got to do nothing. Y'all still gonna pay me because y'all can't get nobody to stay here. The turnover rate's so crazy. Nobody wants to work here.
well, at least they do that in y'all state prisons. They don't do that. When you go into the hole, they take your ass straight to the hole. You're going to the hole. It ain't no mental health coming. Now they'll come around after you get there and be like, "Do you need anybody to talk to?" And you say no, or you say yeah. They might talk to you for a few
Yeah,
minutes and they
that's how they
gone.
do it in the county jail. That's how they do it in the county jail. But upstate, they do it different. They do it different. But the county jail, they do it like that too. It's
We
crazy.
we like that county and state. You hear me? County and
Yeah,
state don't care nothing about your mental health. They just
it's
23
bad.
and down, and then they're gonna put you in a dog cage. But
Yeah,
you little hour out, you in a dog cage,
yeah,
literally. You know,
yeah, yeah, it's bad.
it's something else. And then you can't even use the bathroom in peace because if you put something over your little window, they're gonna say that you're tampering with a lock or you violating a order. And so yeah, I mean it's just it's wild.
And then
Wild.
you got a lot of like closet homosexuals working in like guards and stuff like that. So they strip you, tell you to spread your cheek, like do little homophobe, like homosexual acts, man. Like, they just do crazy stuff, man. Like it's crazy. It's crazy, it
That
is,
they
man.
don't get in trouble for, but let it be a regular person, then you're gonna be a sex offender and then you gotta
Man,
register.
they do all type of weird stuff, man. It's crazy, man. Yeah, you get
It is
deprived,
wild.
being deprived of humanity in every sense, in every form of fashion. You got girls working in there, coming in there smelling all good. They know they ain't getting no attention on the streets, wearing some tight stuff. Man, in there, you start looking at them, they like you say so, you going to the hole, like crazy.
Or either the ones
Crazy.
that's mad at they man or mad they ain't got no man, they wanna come out and take it out on y'all because really ain't nothing you could do, so they just treat you and talk to you any kind of way and look at you like you ain't nothing. I'm telling you.
It's a lot of stuff you gotta deal with. So in jail, you learn patience, right? You gotta be patient and how to control your emotions. If you're in tune with yourself, there's still dudes in there acting crazy and off impulse and just, acting like an animal, conforming to the environment. Like, fuck it, this is where I'm at. I'm gonna start acting crazy. And this is all they respect, like, violence and destruction, but I rather fight mentally, right? Like I pick and choose my battles, and I'm not gonna fight your battle on your turf. I'm gonna fight it on my turf. I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna fight it. Sometimes you gotta stand for something. Sometimes you might have to get like that, to get your point across, right? But for the most part, intellect over emotion.
Right,
That's
and
what I
the
try to
thing
live by.
is, they might have your body incarcerated, but don't let them incarcerate your mind
Well,
because they can't touch that unless you allow them to touch that.
I done had a female guard, write me up for something I ain't never do. And being in the spirit and just, doing my tithing and just, walking with God and, trying to build his kingdom and just, talking the gospel. And, it says, vengeance is mine for my peoples in Deuteronomy, right? Like you ain't gotta get vengeance back. Like I'm gonna get it for you. She ended up getting fired. She was fucking and she was already doing wrong. She was messing with an inmate and I was cool with the inmate. I knew who he was. And I'm like, don't tell her, bro, don't because the other COs didn't like me or whatever. And I had wrote a book and I wrote a poetry book and it was a poem about a CO, a nurse in there. And I guess the CO loved that he was engaged, but she was a whore. And I guess, they end up contrabanding my book, like, oh, you can't get this book to edit it. And then they try to say, oh, you wrote a poem about a stab in here and it's compromising. I'm like, it's a poem. It ain't nothing. It's just a poem called and XYZ. So he didn't like me. So he convinced the CO chick to say that I try to flirt with her or something like that and wrote a ticket and ended up lugging me. But I'm telling the dude, he's like, I know you didn't do it. I'm like, yo, she's fat, she's ugly, I don't like her, I'm not attracted to her. XYZ, right? And they end up lugging me. I'm like, yo, tell her, bro. Like, she's like, nah, he did that. And my man is looking at her like, yo, bro, he didn't do that. You know he didn't do stop do that to end up getting lugged and all of that, right? Don't you know 2 months later, my man got out and he ended up getting caught with a gun in her car. He was dropping her off. They seen him and bring her to work, to the facility. He had drugs and a gun in the car and I'm locking him up. And then the gun was registered her name because she got a license to carry. So he had the gun in there and the gun department, they had found the drugs and all that. They're like, yo, man, they came and got her. Listen, you got to call out the police. You messing with a known felon? What are you doing? And she's like, you either resign now or you could try to fight it because you're in a union and you're going to lose.
Right.
Also, stupid ass chick. You know what I'm saying? But God, you know what I'm saying? You do fucked up. Do not be deceived.
Right. I
God do not
mean,
be
you do
mocked. The
wrong,
man
it's
reaps
gonna
what
come
he
back.
sows. Yeah,
Yeah.
she so. You want to do some fucked up shit? It's gonna come back to you. You want to do some wrongdoing and you're doing wrong?
Comes right back double time. I'm trying to tell
Yeah.
you, people don't realize that.
just when you just like, take yourself off the throne and put God on the throne, he's gonna open doors for you. He's just gonna open the doors for me. So I'm blessed, man. I'm about to have my own apartment in like 2 months. I only been out 9 months. I'm already about to have my own place. So
Because I
yeah,
know a lot of people who are formerly incarcerated have a hard time trying to find anywhere to live, a job, the whole just regular resources that you need to survive every day. You know what I mean?
if you went to that hedge of protection, when you give your life to God, he gonna cause, like it says in the book of Psalms, the first verse, like he's gonna cause that tree, and you're gonna have a tree. Imagine a tree, and I'm paraphrasing, a tree right planted right next to a lake, right where there's water, and everything else around it is dry land. But you're gonna be like that tree that's surrounded right next to that water, and everything else is dry and famine, and the resources depleted, but you're gonna be bountiful.
Mhm.
So God will cause you to be like that.
He will. He will.
So that's what's
Alright,
going
and
on right now.
well, listen, I'm glad to see that you are thriving and that incarceration did not take you down because, as we know, data says people who are incarcerated, their life expectancy is 10 years.
Mm.
To have the type of mind that you have and the ambition that you have to be different, and it takes a lot to get that mindset inside of prison because like you said, a lot of people just sit, you know what I'm saying? They just let the environment really just take them in, and so they just get strung out, they get depressed, and, they start acting like an animal. But it takes a lot to really say, "Hey, I don't wanna be that way. I wanna learn knowledge because knowledge is what's gonna get me here. It's gonna get me out of here. It's gonna get me where I need to be, whether I'm still in here. But you can't imprison my mind." So I appreciate this insightful information, and let the audience know where they can catch you at if you got a book, website, social media, just in case they wanna reach out to you, follow you.
So my social media is Cartier Rose LLC, but you can find me on my website, antwancarter.com, ANTWANCARTER.com. I got 3 books out. My latest is Sacred Lotus. All my stuff's on there. My books, my social media is on my website, everything, how they can get in contact with me, support my work, my speeches, everything.
Yeah, and he'll come speak too. So any colleges that want to hear his story, reach out to Antwan. He got a nice story to tell. It's a real nice story to tell.
Definitely.
All right, Antwan, we appreciate you coming on Black Light Mass Incarceration Show. We wish you the best. Stay in touch. Keep us updated. If you want to come back for an update, in the next few months, tell us how school is going and, apartment living and all that good stuff. We glad to have you back. We always love updates.
I definitely will. I
All right,
definitely will.
my man. You take care.
My blessings. Have
All
a good
right.
day.
So thank you again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Your host, Sierra Cobb. Take care.